Northeast Mississippi Rewind for Week 12 of the high school football season. I'm Brad Locke, Assistant Sports Editor for the Northeast Mississippi Daily Journal. That is a mouthful. And that is Brandon Speck from the Amory Advertiser. Joining me tonight at playoff time, Brandon. A lot of games tonight. And Northeast Mississippi teams did pretty well. 10 of the 16 teams in action tonight are still alive. So that means we lost 6, if you can do that math. Real quick, the teams that we lost: Oxford, Okolona, Shannon, Bruce, Calhoun City, and Vardaman. But the 10 teams we still have in, Brandon, that would be, here we go, this will work. Tupelo, Starkville in 5A, Itawamba, West Point in 4A, Ripley, Aberdeen, and Corinth in 3A, Baldwin in 2A, East Webster in 1A, and Marshall Academy in Class 2A of the MPSA. So Brandon, some big games tonight. We had West Point at Oxford was the game of the week, as far that's what I called it anyway this week. West Point comes out with a 28-13 win. A lot of hype about this game. And you knew there was a lot of hype because there are at least 10 pages worth of back and forth on the message boards. But West Point, with its vaunted defense, people expected them to control the game, and they did. And Courtney Scott had a big game rushing the ball at the quarterback that transferred in this year. So West Point moves on a step closer to trying to win its second state title in 3 years. I'm just going to go through some of these games, give you a quick synopsis maybe of what happened or what it means. So let's go back up to 5A, Brandon. Tupelo defeats Clinton tonight. That final was 43-14. It was a close game and a half, kind of, 28-14, but Tupelo pulled away in the second half. I believe they had 3 stops in the red zone, kept Clinton out of the end zone, so a big win for the Wave. They will host a South Panola next week. We'll get to those matchups in a moment. And also in 5A, we had Starkville defeating Madison Central. That was a final of 33-28. So the Yellow Jackets, with 5 different players scoring touchdowns, they get to host Olive Branch. So all the teams in Region 1 were winners tonight. Let's see here, Brandon, going on to 4A, Itawamba AHS over West Lauderdale, 28-0. A good defensive show by the Indians. They'll host a game next week. And we mentioned West Point over Oxford. In 3A, we had Ripley defeating Lexington McLean 33-18. So Ripley's at home next week. We also had Aberdeen blowing out by Hellia 50-28. Brandon, you were out there. Real quick, did you expect that much of a performance? Last week they only managed 14 points against Boonville in a win, but they kind of made up for that, didn't they?
They kind of made up for it, right? Combined 42 points in the third quarter for both teams. I think last week, Bahia put up 68 points, I believe. So yeah, we kind of expected it to be a high-scoring game, but 50-28, that's the way it rolled, and Aberdeen's still shocking people, I guess. So they'll be at Corinth next week, and we'll see what happens there. That'll
be a good one. Speaking of Corinth, they pull out another nail-biter, the kicking game factoring in once again. Corinth beat Winona last week on a late field goal. This week, Corinth blocking an extra point to pull off a 28-27 win over Velma and Jackson. Quickly in 2A, Baldwin goes over to Riverside and wins handily, 41-12, so Baldwin rewarded with a home game next week. Bruce, not so lucky, losing to South Delta on the road. I believe I failed to mention back in 4A, my stuff's all mixed up here, Shannon lost to Kosciuszko. In 2A, we had Baldwin, we had Bruce there losing. In 1A, East Webster a winner, 11-0 on the year. Calhoun City and Vardaman, not so lucky, they lose tonight. So there's your, and Okolona also losing to Greenville St. Joseph. I hope you got a handle on all that, people. So some more big matchups next week. Brandon, which one are you looking forward to the most, Brandon? Would it be South Panola, Tupelo? Perhaps Olive Branch, Starkville in 5A. And 4A, Noxubee County at Itawamba AHS. West Point at Kosciuszko. 3A, Ripley hosting Louisville. Aberdeen at Corinth. That's the one matchup with 2 area teams involved. And 2A, Baldwin at home against Hollandale Simmons. And 1A, East Webster hosting Mountain Bayou JFK, which defeated Calhoun City. And Marshall Academy in the semifinals of the Class 2A playoffs there in the academies. They will be at home against Winston Academy. Brandon, we finally got some teams at home. Had a lot on the road this week, but what matchup intrigues you there the most, my friend?
I think I like Louisville at Ripley. It's going to really see how those 2 backs in Ripley cook, and Poole, I'm losing the names there, to see if Louisville can catch up to them. Louisville's defense is really, really fast, and nobody's been able to stop them.
You saw them against
far.
Aberdeen.
I did.
They shut down the Bulldogs.
They shut down Aberdeen. Aberdeen is very quick, so we'll see if Poole and Cook can catch up with Louisville's defense, or the other way around. It should be a very intriguing matchup.
Poole and Cook, Michael Poole and Jacquees Cook, the Ripley running backs, both had big nights. I think they combined for around 360 yards rushing, and Ripley's come from behind win at J.J. McClain. The South Panola Tupelo, quickly just breaking down a few of these matchups. Tupelo lost to South Panola 22-9 in the regular season. Starkville defeated Olive Branch in the regular season, so the Yellow Jackets get the Conquistadors at home once again. 4A again, Itawamba at home against Noxubee. That'll be a knockdown, drag out. Region 4 is where Noxubee comes from. They've still got 3 of their teams in the playoffs, including Kosciuszko, which hosts West Point. That could be a slugfest as well, and we've mentioned a lot of these other matchups. They're all going to be good ones. I think we finally got to the point where we're going to see just a bunch of close games. Third round games for 2A, 3A, and 4A, and the Academy's second round games for 1A and 5A. I'll stop rambling about all that and get to the 5 stars quickly tonight. Courtney Scott, the West Point quarterback, 282 yards rushing and 2 touchdowns. And he threw for a touchdown as well against Oxford. Ken Davis, the Tupelo running back, 202 yards on 21 carries and 4 touchdowns against Clinton. Xadrian Shelley for Baldwin ran it 12 times for 159 yards and 2 touchdowns against Riverside. Marcus Hinton, Aberdeen quarterback, ran for 3 touchdowns. The Bulldogs win over Byhalia. And Asian Ruff, defensive back for Itawamba AHS, had a big 97-yard interception return for touchdown. And that win over West Lauderdale. Also had a breakup in the end zone, a pass breakup on a 4th down play. So Itawamba coming up with some big defensive plays tonight. That does it. Y'all be sure to check out the Daily Journal for all the high school football coverage. Join us next week. It's Thanksgiving week, but between all the turkey, we'll bring you some football, hopefully a Northeast Mississippi scouting report. And again, next Friday, right back here for the Rewind.